Hey, one of the greatest tools that we've learned in our marriage in not speaking over each other is sharing the pen. If you want to find out more about what that tool is that we learned and who has the pen, he who holds the pen is the one who speaks. Watch this video.
That's good. He who holds the pen.
Okay, so today we're talking about the challenges in communication when someone doesn't get a chance to speak. When you're talked over, and like if I say something to you and you don't even let me get my full, you're doing pretty good right now.
I know.
You're itching to speak, aren't you?
No, I'm just trying not to laugh.
Yeah, and I don't get a chance to get my whole sentence out.
Yeah. I know, I do it all the time.
Challenged because you feel like, how can you hear me if you're just talking right over the top of me, right? So we learned.
I do hear you though.
Okay. So, you know, there's a whole argument. I know that it doesn't apply to you with multitasking and listening to 12 different conversations at once and all that. But truth is,
you can't be focused on.
You can't be focused. And you're saying this now, you're saying the right thing. But
because I've learned.
It's not, you have?
From
what have you learned?
Different things. About how you can't really focus on what the other person's saying if you're trying to get your thoughts out.
When did you learn this? 3 minutes ago?
No. Just in our experiences. Doesn't mean that I do it all the time. I'm just saying I know that's the correct way you should, communicate.
So you've heard it's the correct way you should communicate, but you still believe you can be in 12 conversations
No, it's just
at once.
hard to practice being that way.
Okay. So part of the challenge is, are you really listening and are you really hearing when you're forming a thought before the other person is even finished? It's super frustrating.
Yeah. It's saying you don't care what the other person's saying.
It makes you feel disrespected because you can't even let them finish and get a word out. And, you've already got another whole comment over them like, I'm not even done yet. I haven't even finished saying what I was going to say. And on top of it.
Yeah.
So this is not just us.
Oh, no, I doubt it.
Oh, no, we know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know there's other, yes.
We know others, and others have the same challenge. So we won't mention their names or anything. Do you want to mention their names? No, I'm just kidding. We won't mention their names. All right, so, we did learn something, though. We learned a new trick.
We did.
And I think it was really helpful.
Yeah.
So we were in therapy. Counseling.
Yeah. Marriage counseling.
Yeah, but we could probably use both.
Yeah.
What's the difference in counseling and therapy?
I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
You go to both to talk about problems, so.
You need therapy. I was there for counseling.
Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay. There's probably a difference.
There might be a difference. Yeah. Anyway, either way, I don't know what it was, but
yes.
So we've had times where we've talked to folks, counselors or whatever, regarding challenges that we are struggling to get past and everything, and this was one of those times. And sometimes you feel like, did you really get anything for a value out of that after sitting through and just writing another check or whatever else? I felt that way sometimes, and then there are times where I felt like, hey, that was pretty good. Yeah. There were some times we walked away and we felt like we learned something. Like one of the questions was, he was asking about our past. Do you remember that? What did he ask?
Which, are you about how we grew up?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was for you, it was enlightening on my end and your end, I guess, because you said when I brought up what I brought up, you're basically like, what in the world? It's a whole other topic.
It was enlightening for me in regards to my past and your past in the way that you looked at your past.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, interesting, because I never thought, I'm like, hey, it's my past, there's nothing.
Yeah,
nothing
I knew about yours wasn't enlightening.
Oh, interesting. Anyway, so that's not even the topic this time. This time, what he said was, hey, here's how you argue. If you're going to argue, you have to let the other person speak. You can't keep jumping on them, talking over the top of them, and going back and forth to where they can't speak. So he taught us the pen trick.
Yep.
Okay, so here's how the pen trick works. When I hold the pen, I get to speak, right?
Yep.
When you hold the pen, you get to speak, right? Sometimes when Shawn holds the pen, you still speak.
Yes.
So you break the pen rule, and that makes it really hard to abide by the pen rule. But there's logic in it. So so let's show them how to use the pen. Okay. I'm holding the pen, so you can't say nothing.
Okay.
you know, what you did today really frustrated me, and you were just talking over the top of me and blah, 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 and, you know, giving me your demand list and your frustrations and all the things that you were doing and just barking up orders nonstop. And it was exhausting to me, and I really don't like that you did that to me.
Okay, give me that pen.
That was all untrue.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, what?
Would you like to respond?
Yes.
You're talking. You're not supposed to be speaking at all.
You asked me a question.
Well, I know, but I have the pen, so
Okay.
you have to be attentive to who holds the pen. He who holds the pen is the speaker at the moment.
Okay, well, you asked me a question, so
You're speaking.
Don't think it's rude if I don't answer.
You're still speaking. See, this is the problem. This is the problem. If you can't...
Okay.
This is not a good example for people because we're trying to teach them the pen test, and you can't obey the rules of
You
the pen.
asked me a question.
I know, but you can't speak. It's okay.
I'll zip it.
Okay. Would you like the pen to respond? That's better. Just a nod
You're
is
full of
good.
baloney. None of that is true. It did not happen today. Now, I'm not saying it hasn't happened before, but yes. Anyway, it's funny, I'm crying. Anyway, yes, the pen trick that we learn, I think is really good because I'm the main one with the problem with the talking over and all that. And I never knew, that's one thing
You
that...
have grown. Oh, I can't
know.
talk.
Yeah, zip it. Anyway, that's one thing that I learned how much it bothered you feeling like disrespected when I did that. And I never would have thought that because that's not what I'm trying to do when I do that. I realize your point now, but I didn't for so long. I'm like, what in the world? I'm not doing it on purpose. It's like a really bad habit. But yeah, you would say all the time how it's so disrespectful. And I remember thinking, why? Now I get it. But anyway, okay, sorry. Go.
You can't go that long. Okay, so here's the other rule. Remember we talked about this.
Yeah, too much.
One of the rules was, so I heard what you said, and I want to respond, but if you say too many things and you have 12
You
points,
can't respond to everything.
then I can only respond to maybe the last couple because I can't remember that many because my brain's still going too as I'm listening to you. So one of the rules is you can only say 1 or 2 points and you got to pass the pen.
Yeah.
So it goes back and forth. Okay. Now I forgot what you said. What?
I was talking about you feeling disrespected and all of that, but I didn't understand what that...
Yeah, so all that stuff I said earlier about you barking and everything else,
I know that.
you weren't barking. Yeah, it was just a joke to kind of lead into the pen test. But yeah, it does. It feels really, really disrespectful because it feels like you're not listening to me.
Right.
And did you just speak?
I said right.
Oh
I was agreeing
gosh,
with you, so that should
impossible.
be okay. I know, I'm so sorry. I'm hopeless.
You're not sorry at all. Anyway, so yeah, that's the problem. Is it definitely makes you feel disrespected, makes you feel like someone's not listening, and if you can't really take turns in communicating with each other, how do we ever really hear each other and then formulate our thought on how to respond? Because we're just so quick to jump over the conversation, and what it really is, it's like a defense mode. I think it's a defense mode, and you're so anxious to speak before you've heard. Well, oftentimes you don't even have the proper response, or it's not in the proper context because it wasn't formed based off the entire sentence that someone was sending back your way. Should it come your way now?
Anyway, yes, this just happened yesterday.
Laughing doesn't count, by the way. Oh,
no.
Talking does.
Anyway, in the car, I don't remember what it was. Yesterday we were driving back from the lake, and there was something you were talking about, and I started answering, and you're like, you didn't even let me finish the point. If you would have let me finish the point, then you would I don't remember what it was, but you remember what I'm talking about? No. Okay, well, anyway, it happened yesterday because I felt like I knew what you were already talking about, and clearly you didn't get to finish. So that's what you were saying is you don't even let me finish. So it was just like, I was already getting my thought out there before you were done with what you're going to say. And I don't think it had anything to do with it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
That too.
Yeah.
So that's a solid point. And yeah, it's just because you get too quick to respond. And we're obviously direct opposites.
Yeah.
Are we done with this?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll set this aside. But it is a good thing
really
to
good
practice.
tool.
And it helps bring awareness, I think, of, hey, how much am I talking? Because when the other person's like, if you're blasting back at me or I'm blasting back at you, I do, pen, I have the pen.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll set it aside. We'll call this neutral ground right now. We're no longer, exercise the pen. Yeah. So I think it's really important because you get things out of context. on a regular basis, and you can't be truly listening if you're firing off too quick. So with us being opposite, your habits are boom, boom.
Yeah.
Mine are to think a little bit, not like for an hour, but to respond after you're done because I'm trying to process. Now, I'm not perfect at that, obviously. There are times where I'll come in before it's completely out of your mouth, only because I can read your mind most of the time.
We're that in tune.
No, sometimes.
We are sometimes.
But you think you can read mine too. And that's why that's why like yesterday, I don't remember what we were even talking about.
I don't either, but you don't remember
I'm just so used to it, you know.
Yeah, it was. It was nothing bad. We weren't in a fight or anything. It was just we were just talking.
Yeah.
But I started talking before you were finished with your thought.
Yeah.
Because I assumed I knew what you meant.
I think it's super healthy to slow down the conversation so you can hear each other. And it takes practice.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I have to practice a lot.
It takes a lot of practice. Just kind of slow it down and just kind of pause, hold your tongue.
Yes.
But when that happens, man, it doesn't get near as amped up, you know, in the conversation because you feel like you're fighting to share your thought. And that's kind of the challenge. And then, you know, when that happens, if you're jumping into it, you know, responding back to me in mid-sentence, then I'm feeling irritable because you know you're not even listening to me, and then it brings me up a notch, and then brings you up a notch, and it's just like this. And next thing you know, everything's escalated up here, and now you're super frustrated just because you don't give each other time to hear what you're saying and then respond.
And that's what's so nice about it is trying to practice that, because I feel like just in general you feel like you're actually heard when I'm not doing that. You feel like I actually hear you and I'm listening to you, because that's the other thing is I'm not. Like I said, I feel like I'm still listening when I'm forming my thoughts, but the reality is you obviously probably can't be fully listening when you're trying to get something else out and prove your point or whatever you think you have, defense, whatever it might be. But that's something that I've been trying to practice. I think I'm doing better. I know I still have a lot of those, you know, just like yesterday blurts that I blurt out, but because I want you to feel heard, and I never mean to show disrespect. It's just a bad habit.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people, like we know people that have the same.
We see it all the time.
Yeah. So it's just a hard habit to break when you do that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
So here's the thing. Try the pen test.
Try the pen.
Because it was very helpful to us. And although it seems really silly, it does bring a lot of awareness to who's speaking and if you're allowing that person or your spouse to speak. And I'll be honest, I've done this with my kids.
Yeah.
I don't know that not all of them, but there are some where I have the same challenge and I feel like they respond too quick. They're
my kids too, yeah.
So we've done the pen test with them too. So give it a try. It may help you, and it's not something that you always have to be carrying a pen in your back pocket. Obviously, but we don't use it anymore. But we will bring it up verbally, like, do I need to get the pen?
Yeah.
Should we get the pen?
Right.
When we have those moments that it feels like we just can't slow it down and hear each other. So it was good.
Yeah.
We learned from it.
We did.
Yeah.
It was a good tool.
It was a good tool. So hey, hopefully that helps you. Next time you're in a conversation with your spouse and it seems to be going a little bit too fast and on top of each other, maybe you should just grab a pen.